everyone. So I'm here with my May review of my Mystery Experiences Company box, Dead End. So disclaimer before I begin, I will give hints. I may even give solutions. I don't know. I just wing it when I do these reviews. So therefore, if you don't want hints or clues or even some solutions, then let me just tell you off the bat, I love these boxes. I will do my review real quick and then I'll go into what's inside the box. How about that? That way you won't have to miss part of the video. I love this company. I cannot say enough good things about them. They rock. They make the best mystery boxes. But I mean, this is my only, I've only used them for a mystery box, but I love it. The writing is superb. I mean, the puzzles are good, but it's just the story that is told in each box about Forest City. It's just, it's amazing, just the work that they put into it. Like I said, the box is a little expensive. It's like almost $35 a month once you pay for the shipping. However, I feel it's worth it. I budget it in my budget so that I can get this box every month. So it's not like a $10 box, but it's totally worth the $30 because you do get high entertainment. I mean, and it's just fun and all the work they put into it. I believe that it's totally worth the money. It's so cool. So with that said, oh, and I'm not being sponsored, by the way. I just want to make that clear too. I'm not being sponsored. I just am giving my honest feedback on these boxes. So let's get into Dead End. Okay, so when you first open the box, you know, of course, you get all the goodies that you normally do. You get your letter telling you what's happening. And I'm again, like with the Raven, I'm an FBI agent. I'm a consulting agent with the FBI. So I'm like, woo! And so then I get my letter that tells me, you know, what I've been called in to do. And what has happened is there has been a murder at the penitentiary in Forest City. And it's with cell block D, which holds the hardened criminals, right? Like the crazy murderers and stuff like that, right? So there's been a murder there, and I have to decide out of 10 people who murdered the nurse. Okay, so they also, of course, give you the newspaper, which I read. First off, I read the Forest City Tribune, and I read it the very first thing because, you know, I gotta know what's going on. So it talks about the murder and then all this other stuff. So, because sometimes there are clues in your newspaper that you have to read about. So, the Raven is on the back. That's who we're trying to catch. He's done a few things. So, then you have all your suspects that there's 10 of them. And on the back of the cards, it tells you what they've done, how they murdered, right? To get in jail. And at first, you know, so I'm reading and everything, and I'm like, so I kind of put them in categories because there were some men that murdered just women. So I put them over to the side. And I'm like, it's probably one of them, right? I mean, because they've already murdered women. And then some were just happenstance, like one was in a motorcycle gang, you know? And so I'm like, And then one was like a crackhead. And So for those, I put those in a different pile, and then I put another in a pile that they just killed any and everybody, you know. But what was cool is they had Papa Midnight in here, and he was in the Raven one, the Carnival, my very first box that I ever got. So he was a suspect. So I thought that was really cool that how they put him in there. So I read about them and all what they did, and like I said, I kind of put them in piles just in case, you know, that could have been a clue. And then you get this funky picture, and then on the back it's cryptogram. So of course you have to figure out, this is going to be a clue, so you have to figure out, you know, what it says. And then there's just a picture of a lady, and you're like, okay, well, that's the nurse. Why is there just a picture of her in her thing? And then there's a card with a voice memo, and of course there's a phone number. So I'm like, I know I'm going to have to call this number eventually. And then there's a hints and solution card just in case you get stuck. And I will say I only had to use it one time this time on one of the things, and I will tell you which one it was. There was also a dice in there. I'm like, what is that for? And a little dog tag was in there too. So I'm like, okay, these are going to be clues. And then you also get in here, you get your field report summary, and this is what you go by to let you know what clues you need to find. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 things that you go to find clues. And then there's a couple of other things on here. Okay, and then here's the homicide report that tells you how she was murdered. And then you get an interview report with the warden, like, where the hell are you at, buddy? Why did you let a nurse get killed? And you get a map of the place. That's what I'm talking about. See, they put so much work in this. They don't have to give us a map. But, you know, it's kind of cool, like, when you're going in the clues and you're like, okay, well, it was beside the day room. And so you can kind of visualize what the place looks like, you know. I think it's just so awesome that they do that. I mean, I don't think that it's necessary to do that, but it's so cool that they do that. And then there's another evidence report that you'll use. And another one. So there's 2 evidence reports that you're going to need. And then there's also this evidence, which I photocopied. And I also photocopied the cryptogram just because it would be easier to decode it on another piece of paper. And then there's also another paper with like a letter on it. And then there is this picture, this painting, and then on the back side of it is like a word scramble. And then you get a hangman dice game, and I'm like, huh? What? How's this even gonna work? What are we doing? What are we supposed to be doing? So we get a hangman dice game, and that's what the dice was for. So then once you see all what you've got, then I start with the very first thing. And the very first thing is to decode this card, which I did. So, and it gives you a clue on who it could not be. So I'm going to try not to give away the answers to these, just just a little bit of hints. So of course it's a cryptogram, and with any cryptograms, they said on the comments, because I do read, I am on their Facebook group, and I saw someone had asked something, and they said that this gives you a hint to what you're supposed to use, which I still have not figured this out, but I did figure this out, so I don't know. I don't get it. But, I just take letters at first, and like, for instance, what I did is this R is capitalized like in the middle of a sentence. So I'm like, okay, then R has to be I, because that's the only letter you would capitalize in the middle of a sentence, right? So then I just went from there to try to, figure out what words. And this one was not as difficult as some I've done, but it was a little bit of a challenge. Once you got a few of the letters, then you understood the pattern. So let's just put it that way. So once you get it decoded, then you get your clue. And then where we went was here, this one, where there was that creepy painting of the lady in that. And on the back side was this. Well, at first, this was the only one I needed a clue on. I needed a hint on. I couldn't believe it. Because in my head, like there's either word circles, right, that you do. And then like last month's though, it was kind of like a maze that you went through. And so I'm looking and I'm like, well, do the colors, because there's like blues and grays and greens and reds and blacks, and I'm like, do the colors even, do they matter? I'm like, I just don't understand what is going on with this thing. So I did have to get a hint, and once I got the hint, then I was able to decipher it. And again, it gives you another clue on who it could not be. Okay? Then where we go is the day room. Excuse me. And that's where we found the Hangman dice game. And it's just a fun little thing for you to do, with your family or whatever, which I think is kind of cute. So I think we'll probably play this. So it's kind of a cute little thing. And then we go to the food pantry, and in there it tells you who works in the food pantry, right? And then this picture was found in the food pantry. So obviously whoever was the murderer works in the food pantry. So there's only six inmates that work in there. So now you've actually narrowed it down to even, just to 6 people. So I just crossed off names once I figured out, who it couldn't be. And then we went on to the phone log, and you had to go on the website. See, this is what I'm talking about too. They actually have a website that you go to some places to get information. So I had to go to this phone log from Forest City, and it told another information for me that I could cross off. Oh no, this isn't it. I'm sorry. That goes somewhere later. But anyway, so I went on to the website, put in the thing, and it came up the phone log. So then another person could be crossed off the list from there. And then there's a solitary number 1, and all that was in there. And this creeped me out because it kind of went along with last month's oh my gosh, I just got the correlation. Okay, so last month's box was about the girl that was possessed, or the exorcism happened, and she was in the Bedlam Asylum, right? Oh, and then in the solitary 1 cell was just the thing that read, there were just a few words scratched on the wall next to the bed that read, "Can you hear me?" Oh, and that was last week's too. And then I read, okay, I'm jumping ahead, but then there's another clue that you go to Dante's bookstore, again, online, that they do, and you read a book there, and this clown is a serial murderer that they've yet to catch. And he went to the Bedlam Asylum when Rachel was there. Oh my gosh, that is so creepy. Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay. Wow. So after you go to solitary 1, wow, that just blew my mind. See, that is so cool how they're wrapping stuff all together. But anyway, so then we go to the reception, and with that came this, the evidence, the log. And on the very bottom, it, tells you that a lawyer came, but who she met with was redacted because, client privilege and all that kind of stuff. And then, let's see. But you don't quite use that yet. And then you go to the cafeteria, and then that's where the letter comes in. And apparently the nurse was in cahoots with whoever murdered her. She fell in love with him, but then he wanted her to start doing things she wasn't comfortable with, so she was breaking him off, and that was his motive to her. Then you go to the visitation side, and then that's when you find this card with the phone number. So I call the phone number, and of course you find out who she's talked to, so that cannot be a person, so you cross him off the list. Then you go to the library, and this is when you go to Dante's books on the website, and you read the book about Hatchet the Clown. And then, like I said, it's now correlating with the other box, with Bedlam Asylum. Wow, that's just tripping me out just a little bit. Then we go into the yard, and that is when the, where did it go? Oh yeah, this paper, because it has been ripped up. And so I took the original because it was a little bit easier to see, and I cut out each piece and then put it together like it was a jigsaw puzzle to figure out who could not have done it. And then, by then I pretty much had figured out, no, I think I still had 2 suspects. And, well, let's see, wait a minute. Where's the one? Did I skip ahead? Well, there was one, I don't remember when it's happened, I'm trying to look at it, but there's another evidence of a picture of a person that they've made a homemade computer, and so he was actually online when it happened, so he was not a suspect. And then you go to the computer room, and you have to put in, and I'll just give a little hint. I tried to go to the website and it kept saying the file not found. So it says to go FBI 771, and I was putting FBI all capitals, so you need to do lowercase and then you can get in. That was what I was doing. I had to ask online. I'm like, what? Is the website down? I don't understand. And they're like, do lowercase. I'm like, oh, okay. So then once I did that, then I could get in and use the password, which I knew from reading the other stuff. And then the one person was then I was down to just one person, who obviously then was the murderer. So it was very good. It wasn't too hard. It's not been one of the hardest ones that I've done, and I don't know if it's because this is my 4th box, so I'm just getting I'm more familiar now with the way that they do their puzzles. It was not too challenging, but it was really good. It was very entertaining. I really loved it. Oh, and before I forget, there was one thing in the newspaper that is hilarious. Okay, so on here, they talk about the infamous inmates, and on the very bottom is the baggy britches. And on it was like, there was a phone number found when he was caught and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, well, I'll, anytime that you see a phone number like in the paper or on a piece of paper or whatever, you normally call it. So I went ahead and called it, and oh my gosh, it was the creepiest thing I think I've ever heard in my life. So I'm not going to give that away, but that was a little bit of like, whoa, so it was pretty funny. So, I can't express how much I really, really, really loved this box this month. It was really good. And I highly, highly recommend, if you like mysteries, If you like doing logical thinking games and stuff like that, I highly recommend this company. I really do. It's a lot of fun. I mean, I can't say enough about it. So Dead End was a thumbs up. I truly, truly appreciate it. And I hope I didn't give away too much this month. I tried not to give away answers, so just a little bit of hints. All right, y'all. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed the review. Again, if you